Hi, I'm born a late diagnosed autistic human being from France living in the UK. Maybe not for long because my partner and I are thinking of moving possibly to a different country in the next few months, but that's a problem for another day. Today I wanted to talk about autism and social constructs. This video kind of comes out of nowhere, but I said in my last video that I wanted to, I guess, be more spontaneous with my videos and really listen to what I want to do and like make videos about the things that I most want to talk about and like not put any pressure or anything on myself, because as you might already know if you watch my other videos, I'm in autistic burnout right now and have been for the past 2 months or so. It's been a while already. So I have limited resources and I want to only focus on what motivates me and makes me feel good, what I'm interested in. And so my YouTube channel reflects that. Just before we start, I wanted to make a little parenthesis to say that I have been thinking about opening a second channel all about ASMR. So if you've been watching my videos, you might know that I often talk about ASMR and how important it is in my life and how big of a stim it is for me and has been for the past 10 years or so. I literally swear by ASMR. It's like my number one way of relaxing, and I know a lot of autistic people despise ASMR, but a lot of autistic people also love ASMR like I do. And I attempted to start ASMR channels in the past on multiple occasions throughout the years because I love ASMR so much that it's not enough to listen to it and consume it, but I also want to create it. Like even when I don't have a channel, I'm like, you know, if I come across an interesting texture, an interesting sound, I'm like, ooh, if I had a channel, I would use that as a trigger or things like that. And when I started my autism diagnosis journey, I tried looking for ASMR for autism, autistic ASMR content creators on YouTube because I was interested in what they had to offer, what it would look like. If you hear someone talking, that's my partner, he's in a work meeting. I had some mixed results. I found a lot of ASMR content that wasn't made by ASMR, a lot of ASMR content that wasn't made by autistic people and which could be a bit infantilizing, or a lot of people seemed very critical of that. And then I found ASMR content by autistic people. There isn't a lot of that. I'm subscribed to a total of 2 autistic ASMR content creators that I know of. And that's it. So it's been on my mind, and lately I thought, why not? You know, it's something I love. It's fun to make these videos. So I've been thinking about making an autistic ASMR channel. I don't want to make promises because PDA, and also because it depends, you know. It depends on the state of my microphone, because I have a Blue Yeti microphone from years ago, from when I first started doing ASMR, and I have no idea if it still works, so I have to try it out. And it also depends on how noisy my surroundings are, if I can manage to make relaxing content. So I'm gonna have to try and see, but I just thought I'd put it out there, and if I do end up creating this channel, I will put the link to this channel down in the description in case you're interested. It's gonna be mostly me talking or whispering or soft speaking about, you know, rambling mostly about autistic issues, what it's like being autistic, and then have make sounds with, you know, different triggers and different objects. And I don't know, I want to have fun with it. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be like, but if you're into ASMR, consider subscribing to that. If you are interested in watching content from an autistic content creator. So that's that. That's the end of that parentheses. I am in my PJs right now. As you might have noticed in my videos, I often record my videos in my PJs, and I don't wear makeup. I literally woke up maybe an hour ago. My face is not washed. My hair is not, I don't do anything, you know? And that's part of the subject that I want to talk about, which is social constructs and autism and how it relates to all that. And it's a subject that is very important to me because I realize how big of an impact it's had on me throughout my life, and especially as I got older, as I became an adult, as a female presenting person in this society, and then how it evolved through the years and where I'm at right now since getting my autism diagnosis. I've always struggled with social constructs, like a lot of autistic people, probably. Ever since I was a child, I always struggled with the idea of gender and why someone should do something differently or be treated differently or just look different based on their gender. I remember as a child, so I'm assigned female at birth. I remember throughout my childhood never feeling strongly about my gender. Like, I never thought of myself as a girl. That didn't really mean much to me. I thought of myself as a person, and whenever I watched movies or cartoons, TV shows, I identified with any of the characters that I liked. I did not specifically identify with only the female characters. I did not really look at characters based on their gender. It just didn't matter to me at all. And as a kid, people don't really bother you with that kind of stuff, but still, you know, I was given clothes by my mother that I had to wear that were feminine, you know, like dresses and skirts and stuff like that. So when I was very little, I did not care about that kind of stuff because all I cared about was playing, being in the moment. But as I got a bit older, I started to realize that I didn't feel particularly comfortable wearing this kind of thing. Mainly from a practical point of view, because it's just not comfortable. I never understood why little girls had to wear dresses that, you know, because basically it's difficult to play and run around in dresses. There's the wind because you're always afraid of people seeing your underwear. Like, that whole idea is just weird to me. And then, you know, kids in school can bully you, and I don't know if you had that growing up, but boys, you know, lifting your skirts or your dress, and everyone can see what you're wearing underneath. I just always no, it didn't sit right with me, feminine fashion. And I could feel, you know, expectations from my loved ones, my family, expectations of me since I was a girl, expectations of enjoying shopping, enjoying dressing, being pretty, and I didn't fit those expectations, and I was made to feel inadequate for it. And if you're in that situation as a girl, you are given the label of tomboy, especially if you like playing with you know, if you like playing and like running around and doing boyish things and playing with the boys, you're just given labels like that from such a young age. And like you're not, apparently you cannot be a girl and like those things without being called a tomboy. Like, so that was my experience with gender growing up. And then as a teenager, as I started to resemble, you know, grow into a woman, there were more expectations that started to be put on me by my peers, by my family, by society. You know, expectations like as soon as your hair starts to grow, you have to shave it. And then when you're old enough, you have to start wearing makeup, and you have to wear certain clothes, and you have to do certain things for your appearance, like going to the hairdresser, going to the esthetician, things like that just men just don't have to think about. And like having your ears pierced and wearing jewelry and not doing certain things. And as an undiagnosed autistic person growing up, I just didn't understand why I would have to do all these things if I didn't want to, just because someone said so. I feel like a lot of autistic people struggle with the idea of doing things without knowing why they should do these things. That's something I hear a lot, always asking why, and like struggling to let go of expectations if you don't know why. As a teenager, as I got, you know, older, and I heard all these things, and like how your body is supposed to develop. Like you're supposed to have boobs, you're supposed to have a thin waist, but like wide hips, and like all these things. And if you don't, then you don't look good. You know, you're not beautiful if you don't have these attributes, these physical attributes. I just didn't understand any of it, but I accepted it for the most part. I was like, whatever. I didn't care, you know, as long as I could do whatever I was interested in, and like go spend time with my hobbies and stuff, and my interests. I was like, yeah, whatever, do whatever you want. But you know, I never liked shopping, and I was made to feel bad for it by my mother, you know, my family, like always trying to convince me to go shopping with her. And then when I didn't like it for whatever reason, you know, making me feel bad for it. Like basically this idea of if you don't fit certain, if you don't tick certain boxes, if you don't do things a certain way, you're not a real woman or a real girl, although that means. But even the men in my life, it's not just the women, the men in my life imply things like that. Like my dad would imply things like past a certain age, he would say that it was time I learned how to cook, with the implication of like for my future husband. And I was like, if I'm ever learning to cook, it's for myself, okay? It's because I enjoy it, not for some damn man. But things like that, and like it was not always just directed at me, it was like directed at the media, you know, the way that the people around me reacted to people in movies, people on TV based on their gender. It was always all about gender, and how men were expected to be strong and brave and protecting their women, and how women were expected to be sensitive. And since I was a tomboy and I liked, you know, playing and running around doing boyish things like climbing trees and stuff like that, I would always have people tell either me or my parents like she shouldn't be doing things like that, you know, like she's a girl, like you have to stop her doing that. And I'm glad my parents didn't care and let me do whatever I wanted. But you know, even within my own family, even way into adulthood, Like, bless her, my great aunt who passed away last year. A couple of years ago, when I was helping my dad build something at home, like, she would say things like, oh, you should let the men do that. Don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. I'm like, why don't you just let me do what I want to do? Why is it always all about gender? Like, it's not the only thing that matters, you know? And as a teenager, as a late 90s kid, I grew up with YouTube. I mean, I was a preteen / teenager when YouTube became big, you know? I watched a lot of YouTube, and I loved the way that it allowed me to open my horizon and connect to the rest of the world and learn things. And one of the things that I learned that really opened my eyes was gender and sexuality, and I learned about the LGBTQ plus community. And those were all things that weren't talked about in my community, where I come from. Those were very, you know, taboo almost. Like, you know, we tolerate that gay people exist, but you shouldn't talk about them too much, otherwise it's kind of like indecent or something. And I became really passionate about it. It became a special interest of mine. And I followed a bunch of content creators on YouTube talking about gender and sexuality. And I explored my own sexuality. I tried things out. I even, you know, considered for a while that I might not be straight. And I'm still exploring that, and I'm 27. The more I grew, the older I got, the less strongly I felt about my gender, and the more I felt like it had no meaning for me. But societal expectations kept growing. I feel like it reached its peak when I was a teenager / young adult. And I really had this feeling that if I didn't present in a certain way, you know, appearance-wise, I wouldn't be taken seriously, and people would think that I wasn't looking after myself, and people would think that I wasn't a real woman, or that I wasn't a real adult, you know. And my whole life I heard my dad say things like, you know, say things that basically implied that women only existed to be beautiful for men, and that if you weren't beautiful because of some disability, because of age, because of just your natural features, or because you were overweight, then you weren't a real woman. That's the kind of ideology I grew up hearing, and I never agreed with it. I always thought it was outrageous, and I would get into fights with my dad over that. And I identified pretty young with the whole idea of feminism. I just didn't agree with a lot of the things that I was hearing, because I was like, I'm female, as you keep pointing out, and the things that you say about female people, I just don't relate to. I don't agree with you. And I always spoke my mind, you know, and I guess that's due to my autism, of like, not because I don't care that much about fitting in. I didn't have a problem voicing my opinions, even if it wasn't politically correct or whatever. I didn't care what people thought. I just felt uncomfortable with hearing these things and then not speaking out about it and not giving my opinion. I couldn't just, you know, shut up about it. But I went through a phase where I didn't leave the house without wearing makeup, or without doing my hair in a certain way, or without wearing certain kinds of clothes, or wearing jewelry, or, you know, even like, I have a pretty deep voice, right? For a female, and I would change the tone of my voice. That's part of my masking. When I want to look more friendly, when I want people to like me more, I will take a more feminine voice, and it's mostly unconscious. something I realized over the years. I will speak with a higher, more cute voice because that's what people expect from female presenting people. And if you don't fit that stereotype, then you're not an actual woman, you know? You're not really a woman, so you're not taken seriously. You're not, you know, you're not a proper person almost. All these things made me feel so bad about myself. Like, I remember, like, years ago, I would never have even considered the possibility of recording a video like I am doing right now without makeup on, wearing my PJs, nothing done to my hair, no accessories or jewelry or anything like that, no nail polish. Like, a few years ago, I would have been appalled at myself. I would have been like, you know, repeating the things that I heard, like, you don't care about yourself, you don't look after yourself, you have such low self-esteem, you don't look like, you don't, like, it was basically like, if you don't do all these things, you're not respecting yourself and you're not respecting others. Like, that was seen as like a disrespect towards my subscribers, my viewers, you know? And I've come such a long way because now I'm like, that is such a load of bullshit. That's such bullshit. Like, why would I wear all these things if I don't want to? Who says I should? Nature doesn't care. The universe doesn't care. It's just humans doing that to each other, putting that pressure on each other. I've talked a lot about gender and stuff, but it's not just about gender, it's social constructs in general, you know? Money is another concept that I really struggle to grasp as an autistic person, and I always struggled with it. And it caused me so much pain because I felt so dysfunctional because of it, because everyone else seems to be completely fine with the concept of money. But to me, it just doesn't make any sense. It's completely abstract. It's not real. It just doesn't make any sense to me that the way that it is distributed, how some people live in absolute misery and others have way too much, way more than they need, you know, like, and how if money is created, it is manufactured, like literally, like governments every year, governments create and destroy money. It's not an actual thing, it's something that's made by humans. Like, if it is manufactured, then why is it that it's so poorly distributed? And why is it that it is so important in people's lives that from a young age, that's all we talk about, basically? Like, when you're a kid, you get pocket money to buy things. And then as you grow older, people start stressing you out about having a good career and making lots of money to be comfortable. And so you have to choose the right career path. And for that, you have to study well in school and do higher education possibly. And they're putting all these ideas in your head at an age where all you want to do is play and have fun, you know? I could never fully grasp the concept of money. Like, I get it on an intellectual level. Like, I don't struggle to understand what money is, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm 27 and I can't grow past that. And I've struggled with that my whole adult life. I've never been financially independent. And that partly comes from the fact that I struggle to work with my disability. But it also comes from the fact that since money doesn't make any sense to me, it's not a motivation for me. And if it's not something that motivates me, I'm not going to go out of my way to get it, you know? I can't wrap my head around the system that we live in, where you have to dedicate, and maybe that's a very Gen Z / millennial thing of me, you know? I'm one of the older Gen Zs, you know, I was born in 97. Maybe that's very Gen Z of me, I don't know. I identify with millennials a bit more, but maybe that's just my generation. But I can't comprehend the idea of having a 9 to 5, spending 5 days a week, sometimes more, all day working for someone else a lot of the time, so that and spending time away from your loved ones and from possibly the things you love. Also that at the end of the month or at the end of the week, whatever, you can be given a certain amount of money that often doesn't reflect the amount of work and effort you put into this work. Also that you can then purchase food to sustain yourself, purchase medicine to heal, purchase vacations so that you can take time away from your work and forget about it, otherwise you'll go crazy, so that you can have a roof over your head. Like, it's just completely ludicrous to me. Not everyone, obviously, a lot of people complain about it, but for the most part, that's how society functions, and people go along with it. Obviously, they don't have a choice. I'm not saying they're happy to do it. I don't think many people are happy to have 9-to-5s, but like, for the most part, they just go along with it, and I cannot. Like, I'm physically like unable to do that for many reasons. I don't understand. I'm like, what's the point of life if you spend your whole childhood, your whole youth being prepared to then dedicate all of your energy and time, of your precious time in this life, to working for someone else so that you can get money, so that you can feed your family and have fun during the little free time that you get. And that's for the most privileged people, because the less privileged people have to sometimes work several jobs. They have to work, night shifts or during the weekend, so they don't even see their family much. They don't even have enough money to live comfortably. They are always worrying about being able to cover all their bills. I just feel like we live in a very, very, very broken system. I come from a country where it's mostly free to access healthcare and education, and that's amazing, because in most of the world you have to pay for education and health. You have to pay to get the medication you need when you're sick or injured. That to me is just, I don't get it. And like, if you don't have that money in the US, for example, you're just not gonna get the care that you need and you're gonna die. I just don't understand. Like, money doesn't make any sense to me. And it's a lot more than just, oh, I don't like the concept of money. It's like, when I started my own business a couple of years ago, I started a subscription box business, which I absolutely loved. The reason why it didn't last more than a few months was because I was so bad at managing the financial aspect of it. And I know it's partly due to my autism. It puts me in a bad situation, like not being able to keep that business going and like being dependent on other people to survive. The reason I'm in this house right now, eating enough, having a bed to sleep on at night, is thanks to my partner and my parents before him. Otherwise, I don't know where I would be. I have no idea. On the street, in a shelter maybe. I don't like this situation, obviously. I don't like not being financially independent. If I could do it differently, I would. I don't like always having to, not being able to pay for things myself and relying on the money that other people make. People paying things for me. It's not a comfortable situation to be in as an adult. And it's one of those, it's one of those social constructs that, along with gender and like trends, a lot of autistic people struggle with trends and even like marketing strategies. I think it's all linked, like we don't buy it, like we understand that a trend only exists because of the way it can influence your social status, help you fit into a group. But since we don't necessarily look for that as much as non-autistic people, trends don't make any sense to us. I never followed trends And as a kid, I did not understand why so many people cared about trends and followed them. I was like, why do you have to get out? Why do you get out of this? Obviously, it was like social validation or whatever that I didn't need, so I didn't care about trends. And, you know, marketing strategies and things like that, like advertising, we don't fall for it a lot of the time as autistic people because we see right through it. Like these whole ideas of what you're supposed to say and not say when you're around other people. Like I didn't care. I basically don't care about anything I'm supposed to say or do if it doesn't make any sense to me. If I don't understand why, and if it doesn't, you know, if it seems to come out of nowhere and it seems to just be one of those because that's how it is, then I feel like a lot of autistic people just don't care about it. Since getting my autism diagnosis, I have been struggling with social constructs more than ever, to a point where I cannot consume media now without seeing social constructs everywhere. Like, it absolutely annoys me so much that everything in this society revolves around gender. Even when it has nothing to do with your gender, you're still referred to as either male or female. And why should it affect so much in your life? Like, right from the moment you're in your mother's womb, they're already looking for the gender, labeling the child, and then deciding whether they're gonna wear blue or pink, or like have a gendered name. I feel like people give way too much meaning, way too much importance to gender. It's not that important. And yeah, I'm not saying there aren't differences in biology or anatomy between men and women. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a social perspective, it shouldn't matter that much. We shouldn't be treated differently based on our gender. We should not be expected to present differently based on our gender, or be judged for the way we look based on our gender. And I see that everywhere, and it makes me mad. Everything I watch, literally, on YouTube, not everything, but a lot of what I watch is all about gender and women versus men. And there are things that I did before my diagnosis that I cannot do now. Like, I have a pretty substantial earring collection. I think I haven't worn any of my earrings since getting my diagnosis 3 months ago, because now I see it and I'm like, that's not me. That's part of my mask. That's just, I don't like. The only reason why I started wearing earrings in the first place is because I'm not talking about, you know, helix piercings or anything like that. I'm talking about dangling earrings, you know. I'm like, the only reason I started wearing these in the first place was because I had been given the label of female, and I was trying to fit that label to be liked and accepted in society and taken seriously. But it's not me. I don't care about that stuff. Same thing with nail polish. Recently I wore nail polish, and I talk about it in my Switzerland vlog. I realized, why am I doing this to myself? I don't even like it. I don't like how it feels. Why do I do it? Because that's what's expected of me as a woman? That doesn't make any sense. And like, now I feel like every time I watch a movie or a YouTube video, I'm like, all I see are social constructs and how much importance people put on them, and how much torment they put themselves through for these social constructs of money, gender, social status, fame, trends. Like, people destroy their lives for these things. I've always been told that I'm wiser than my age because I always knew that these are not important. That what's important is what's essential, you know, the essential things in life, like the people you love, nature, you know, the things you are passionate about, and money and fame and status and things like that just are meaningless. And I was always told how wise I was for thinking that way, because most people only realize these things when they're 50 years old. And now I'm like, oh, that's mostly because I'm autistic, because I see right through it and I see that it's freaking pointless. But most, neurotypical people, it takes them so long to realize these things. I just want to grab them by the shoulders and shake them and be like, wake up, this isn't important. You're wasting your life. It makes me mad. My partner and I aren't married. We've been together for 8.5 years at this point. We have no intention of ever getting married. We're both autistic. My partner's autism diagnosis is tomorrow. His assessment is tomorrow. Very exciting stuff. But we're both autistic, and we never actually considered getting married, and probably never will, unless we absolutely have to for some reason. But that would make me very frustrated to have to do it because we have to, not because we want to. But we just don't understand the concept of marriage. That's another thing that drives me insane. Marriage as a social construct, like the idea that women wear engagement rings with big rocks on it, expensive rocks on it. Like, that's something that was created a century ago. This is a trend that was created, manufactured a century ago, because they had lots of diamonds that they didn't know what to do with. They had lots of diamonds that they needed to get to, sell to people, and so they created the demand. Before that, people didn't really care. There wasn't, engagement rings or stuff like that. And they created the demand by making people feel like that was the new trend that they had to. And now it's been accepted as this obvious thing that you have to do when you're getting married, is getting an engagement ring with a big rock on it. And the bride wearing a white dress, and the whole just what people call traditions, I call social constructs most of the time. Marriage is a tradition, it's an institution, whatever you want. Like, all those women out there, and if it makes them happy, I don't blame them, I blame the system. But like, all these women who dream about being getting married and looking like a princess in a big white dress, like, you wouldn't have that dream if it hadn't been implanted into your head as a little girl. Humans don't magically arrive into the world dreaming about getting married in a white dress. Like, it's society making you feel like you cannot succeed your life and be happy if you don't reach that milestone. Marriage doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, first of all, I feel like it's such like the idea of the wedding is so egocentric to me. Sounds so egocentric. Like, and some weddings are like, there are hundreds of people. How do you know so many people, first of all? Like, I don't get it. If I were to ever celebrate, do a wedding for myself, there would be 5 people invited. 10 at most if I invite people I'm not so close to. Gathering all the people so that they can look at you and see how well off you are, because weddings are also used to showcase your wealth, show how happy you are, and how you fit society's expectations. And my partner and I never felt like we needed that to validate our love. We just don't need a piece of paper to confirm that we're in love and we want to spend our lives together and have kids together. Like, the only reason why because that's something else I've realized recently, is a lot of people have kids, but they don't really want to have kids. And I'm like, why? Because social construct, societal pressures. Don't have kids if you don't want to, folks. Like, it seems so obvious, but apparently it's not. I don't know. I'm very passionate about this topic, as you could tell. I get very excited when I talk about it. It makes me mad because I see so many people in so much pain because of these social constructs. Either because they can't quite get there and they feel like they're ruining their lives for it, or they get it and then they don't understand why it doesn't make them happier, or I don't want to sound like autistic people are like superior, or because we see right through it, you know, we're so much more intelligent. Like, no. Social constructs piss me off, to be honest. And I hate that we live in this world, not the earth, I mean, you know, society. I think there wouldn't be so many problems in this world if there weren't so many social constructs. But then, obviously, social constructs exist for a reason. It's part of human nature, apparently. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we autistic people don't feel like humans all of the time. We feel alienated. My whole life I felt like I had been wrong. I had been born into the wrong species. I did not feel like I was coming from another planet like some autistic people do, but I felt like there was a mistake in the process, and I was meant to be a dog or a horse or a leopard, anything but a human, basically. And social constructs contribute to this feeling of inadequacy. Because if you don't understand the world you live in, how can you function within it and feel you're in the right place? Like, find your place in it. Anyways, this video is getting far too long, and I think I said what I had to say for the most part. Obviously, there's always a lot more to say about these kinds of topics. Maybe I'll make other videos about it in the future, but in the meantime, that's what, you know, I wanted to get that off my chest, basically, and see if other people relate. And leave a comment down below about what you think about social constructs as an autistic person, or as an allistic person, if I have any non-autistic viewers. I have a Ko-fi account if you'd like to support my channel monetarily. I'll link it down below. And thank you for liking, watching, subscribing, and commenting, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!